South Australian David Standeven collapsed and was taken to hospital early today, shortly after claiming line honours in the Sydney to Melbourne Ultra Marathon. Greek runner Yannis Kouros took the $25,000 first prize, despite failing by just half an hour to be first across the finish line.
Thousands had waited to see the 37-year-old Standeven cross the line at Doncaster around 12:55 this morning, but they weren't expecting him to be rushed to the Austin Hospital to be treated for dehydration and exhaustion. His time of 5 days, 13 hours, 55 minutes and 35 seconds gave him second place, behind the man who's now won the race 4 times, Yannis Kouros. It was virtually a photo finish, considering the race had been run over 1,011 kilometres, as the Greek arrived just 32 minutes later. In marked contrast to Standeven, Kouros looked like he might only have been out for an evening jog.
Normally I'm running just to finish as soon as possible.
Sydney's Kevin Mansell is in third place. He's likely to finish later this morning. Mark O'Leary, National 9 News.
Strong hints from Prime Minister Hawke last night that the 6.5% national wage rise may be under threat. Speaking on SBS Television's Tonight programme, Mr Hawke suggested the...
It was a 12-hour start, and that's where David Standeven comes into the picture.
I'm going to be there first, for sure. Determination.
What is it that drives these men? The Westfield Run came down to David Standeven and Yannis Kouros. With 36 kilometres remaining, Standeven held a 1-hour lead, but Kouros was closing. For 5 days he'd been closing, and the computer whizzes kept predicting when he'd take over from the South Australian bolter. Only one man believed David would take line honours, and he's not much of a bragger at the best of times.
David.
5 days, 13 hours and 55 minutes. That's determination.
And what a magnificent run.
The Golden Greek arrived at Doncaster 32 minutes later, just as Standeven was leaving. History should record that the 1989 Westfield Run had 2 winners. Steve Crawley, 10 News.
Kouros looks like he's just jogged around the block. David Standeven, incidentally, is being treated for hypothermia in a Melbourne hospital this morning. South Australian police are investigating...
This 12-hour handicap. Let's hit the road again.
At dawn on day 2, Dick Tout is back in the lead, and Duzon Maravle is having another break. He's having stomach problems, a common complaint amongst runners early in an event like this. He's off the road for about an hour and a half and allowed Tout to get about another 10 kilometres lead. After a break, the hardest thing for all runners is to get those stiffening muscles going again. Many actually have to be helped for their first few steps.
Everybody.
40 kilometres back, and everyone's hero is just making it into Goulburn, feeling tired, feeling sore.
I've always been a battler, and I think the battlers sort of got something in common with me. They like to come along and cheer me on. And the kids too, they're all straight, the kids.
Back another 10 kilometres in 23rd and 24th place, another couple of battlers are struggling with their own problems, but still smiling. The father and son team, Terry Cox Sr. and Jr.
Got a few blisters, but the Army School of Health have helped me with this new invention of theirs. It's a secret, I can't tell you what it is, but it works. You know, you can't feel a thing after 15 seconds.
How about your dad? How are you doing, Terry?
Well, I've had a bit of that treatment too. They stick a needle into the blister and withdraw the mucus, and then they put some special stuff into it, and you can run on raw blisters. Look at that, look, and bang me feet, you can't feel them.
Another feeling it a little was the American Marty Springelmeyer.
I'm having a little trouble finding some food that will go down. Finally, I remembered I love ice cream. So I got a whole gallon of ice cream I'm going to snarf up. That ought to get me to Canberra.
Kevin Mansell, on the other hand, was feeling good, running in 15th place.
Right where I am. I'm on target. On target at the moment.
Θα τον μεθύσουμε τον ήλιο σιγουράλε. Θα τον τρελάνουμε το φύλλο σιγουράλε.
Another person on target was Yanis Kouros, still 100 kilometres behind the leaders, but closing fast. He was averaging more than 12 kilometres an hour, making up about 2 kilometres every hour on diktat and rapidly catching the tail enders. He was looking every bit the Greek god.
They call me the Greek god or, you know, some other words, but I know that God is only one. I am nothing. That way I have done a lot because I believe that I am nothing.
He may not think much of his own talents, but the record speaks for itself. Never has an athlete so dominated a sport. He's broken over 40 world records. Last year, 8 weeks after he'd won the bicentennial Westfield Run by 16 hours, he had his first go at the 1,000-mile event in New York. He finished in 10.5 days, smashing the world record by an incredible 2 days, 2 hours. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Diktat is the first into Canberra, right on schedule. He plans to take an hour's break, but ominously, as he enters a motel, he's limping badly. Hot on his heels is Dusan Moravli, who also takes a break in a motel, relaxing with one of the many beers he has during runs like this. As the first of the runners were making their way through the nation's capital, the fabulous Greek was already making up ground. Just 13 hours after he left Sydney, he'd already passed through Goulburn and was starting to catch up with the tail enders, preparing to relentlessly reel in the field.
I knew he'd catch me sooner or later. It's sooner.
As Kouros begins passing, he hands out Yanis Kouros t-shirts, but he doesn't revel in his success. He feels almost apologetic about passing other runners, but hopes that it will spur them on too.
I'm doing something positive for the other competitor also, because if I pass him, I give him an inspiration, a signal to run faster, you know, because it's an example. If he runs so good, why I can't?